Anyone who has watched my videos before knows that I usually play really aggressive and use player heads to allow for that style of play. On the Hoplite server, heads grant speed 2 and regeneration with just a single click, allowing you to stay in the fight for longer. Can I still win the game without eating any player heads? In today's video, I aim to answer that question by trying this challenge using 3 different kits, and I end up getting some crazy games, so make sure you watch until the end and I hope you enjoy the video. So I started off this first game by going mid. I do get a lot of iron out of that first chest. That one gets auto-looted, and then I get a bit of armor out of the second one. I did loot up these 2 structures and I got a lot of iron, which is really helpful for me because that means that I can just fish the entire grace period and not have to worry about getting iron armor. Now unfortunately neither of those structures had gunpowder, which sucks because I really wanted to make pufferfish cannon in this game. However, I do eventually craft my lucky rod, and after that, the first thing I catch is a flame infinity bow. Now, because it only has 5 durability on it, my strategy decided to shift a little bit, and instead what I want to do now is craft a power 2 infinity. Luckily I find this mushroom structure, which gives me all the books that I need, and luckily this temple also just happens to have a bunch of gunpowder, so immediately I think I can craft pufferfish cannon, and I do that right away. Now, if you've ever played the server before, then you know that the players here love to just run marathons instead of actually fighting back. Normally, player heads that grant you speed 2 are a good way to catch up to these players, but because I can't do that in this challenge, having the pufferfish cannon and having the flame bow is just going to allow me to catch up to these players by slowing them down, which is really important if I want to win the game. So after enchanting all of my items, I have everything that I need for a sharp 2 diamond sword and a power 2 flame infinity bow, and all I need now is more levels. So that's when I turn my attention to the nether, which can give you a lot of levels if you spawn in the right biome and there's a lot of nether quartz for you to mine. Now luckily for me, I spawn in a bit of a nether wastes here, which allows me to combine my items and get all of the items that I need. Now luckily for me, as soon as I go to the surface, I see these 2 players stalking each other, and my hope is that when PvP turns on, they will just start fighting and I can get an easy cleanup. Now I see that one of the players is not very stacked, so I decided to just go in here and help him out, and as you can see here, the flame and the pufferfish cannon are really important in slowing this guy down, as well as the fact that he doesn't seem to be even living on planet Earth with how much he's lagging, which allows me to just get a bunch of free hits on him and eventually kill him with taking 0 damage. Now I turn my attention back to the other guy who runs into a temple here, making it an easy kill because he has nowhere left to run. After running in a bit more, I find another person who just got a kill, and they just run away from me, which allows me to kill them with taking 0 damage yet again. Now, because I can't eat any of these player heads, I decided to craft them both into Ares blessings, which are basically supply drops, and from those drops, I managed to get myself a protection 2 book and an ender dragon. After this, I see the next player coming in, and he does not really stand a chance against what I have. He still only has a stone sword, and because of that, I'm able to make easy work of him and kill him while dropping him with the golden apple. Next, I chase this other guy into a cave. He's using slime blocks, which means that he has selected a trapper kit. So I'm a bit concerned that he might have a trap down here. I don't want to completely run in at him yet because I'm not sure where the trap is, and it turns out that it doesn't look like he actually had a trap. And he actually ended up dying with a power 4 bow, which means that I can combine that with my flame to get a power 4 flame infinity. Now I'm not sure what was going on at this village, but for some reason everyone in the game is over here, and I tried to drop this person really quickly, but with the other person hitting me, I find it pretty difficult to do so, and eventually I end up getting pretty low. Now here is why you can see flame is so important. This guy eats ahead on me and tries to catch up, but look at how I'm able to slow him down and do quite a lot of damage. I'm doing around 3 hearts per bow shot, and just like that, he is on 6 HP. And after hitting the pufferfish cannon and a nice shot here, he is dead. So I try to go and loot his stuff, and I accidentally drop all of my gapples, which gives this guy a chance to get a few free hits on me. But luckily I'm able to run away, and now he starts eating that player head to try to catch up. After getting him in a bit of a clearing here, I'm basically able to bow him and get him pretty low, and at this point I just decide to aggro him and I'm able to kill him. This other guy here thinks he can try to clean me, but things don't actually end up going too well for him. He does die with a gold bread here, which heals you 2 hearts, so I want to pick that up, and that's when I realized that this farmer villager actually just stole it from me. Now, I use my pufferfish cannon on this next guy in a cave, and the pufferfish are hitting him at the same time that I'm trying to hit him, which means that my hits are not registering. So I decide to back up a bit and use my bow here, and because I do so much damage to him, I'm able to just kill him with my bow. At this point, I find a bot on the server, so I decide to do the classic dig 1 block down so the bot does not deal any damage to you. Now, because I'm in a swamp, I'm able to get a bucket of frog, which is the main ingredient in crafting the legendary ribbit reel. After finding a crossbow on the ground, I'm finally able to craft it. And the ribbit reel is important because it allows me to bring people closer to me as well as slowing them down. So deathmatch starts, and I'm feeling pretty confident because I have a lot of healing, and even though I can't eat any player heads, I do have a flame bow and 2 legendary weapons, which should allow me to bow spam people and not let them drop me. Now, unfortunately, as you can see there, that player has the legendary evoker wand, which is a direct counter to my flame bow because it can just repel all of the arrows right back at me. So I'm feeling a little bit nervous now. Eventually it gets down to a 1v1, and this remaining player is only on 13 HP. I still am a little bit worried about not having any clear heads, so I decide to bow spam a little bit and get him all the way down to 7 before deciding to go in for melee. And as you can see here, he has 2 golden heads and I have 0, so that is going to be a challenge for me. I do decide to use the ribbit reel here just to get a little bit of space so I can back up and bow spam him a bit more. Now eventually he gets close enough to me to force melee, which is not good for me because he has a very strong midas sword. And luckily though, I'm able to use the ribbit reel and a water bucket to sort of get a little bit more space on him and bow spam him to quite low HP. Right there, I am able to force another G-head out of him, so now he should be out of golden heads. Now, because he's deciding to just camp in middle, I use this opportunity to try to loot the diamond armor that the other guy died with. So now I also have diamond leggings. Now, eventually here, it comes down to another melee fight, which I'm personally fine with because I only have 1 gap left. So, after eating my last gap, it's now do or die. I have to kill him here, or else I just lose the game. Luckily, he gets messed up by his own water here, which allows me to bow him even more. I bring him in with the ribbit reel, and that is game. Now, he seems to be pretty upset in chat there, but I don't really care what he has to say, because if I was able to use any amount of heads, I would have just gone in there and smoked him. Now, to start game number 2, I wanted to try a different strategy of winning with no heads, and that is to go the archer kit. The archer kit at level 5 just gives you a bow and 80 arrows, which is pretty good for bow spamming people. Archer kit was probably my favorite kit at one point, and I probably got my first 100 or so wins on the kit, but since then I haven't had a chance to really use it because I only go warrior kit now. So this game is my chance, and I find yet another flame book to start off game number 2. And what do you know, I find the exact same mushroom structure as well, which allows me to get a bunch of books yet again. So after getting diamonds and books, I decide that I'm going to try to make a power 3 flame this game, which is when I realized that I did not go archer kit. I in fact went warrior, so now I'm not getting the bow and 80 arrows that I thought I was going to get. So I do end up killing a bunch of chickens here, which gives me enough feathers to craft around 40 arrows. And I also shear a sheep here to get 1 more string, which gives me 6 in total, which is enough to craft 2 bows. Now, after getting myself in nether again, I am able to craft my power 2 flame, and that's when I see this guy in a diamond chestplate with a midas sword. Now, even though I'm definitely at a disadvantage when fighting this guy, I feel like if I'm able to kill him, I'll be set to win the rest of the game. Now, because I'm at such a disadvantage with my iron sword, I want to bow spam him a little bit before I actually end up going in. Now luckily, because of the flame, I'm able to mess him up a bunch and get a bunch of free hits on him. And eventually, I get him really low here and he dies to fire. Now that's when this next guy starts coming in, but because of my flame, I'm not really afraid of him. I've already done so much damage to him. And because he runs out of water, I'm able to drop him with a G-head. Which unfortunately is of no use to me because I can't even use it. Now in chat I get a notification saying that this guy crafted the evoker wand, and because of what happened last game with the evoker wand being a direct counter to me, I want to kill this guy right now. Now unfortunately, he does not seem to be too keen on fighting for some reason, despite having bottom half diamond. Now eventually I settle for killing this bot instead, which is perfectly fine by me because it levels up my midas sword. Now I end up cleaning another fight here. I just bow this Monu guy until he gets low enough for me to kill him with my midas sword. The other guy for some reason only wants to bow me, but after shooting him twice he kind of just decides to run away, which allows me to fully target this Monu guy. This other guy decides to come back in, but realistically he doesn't have a chance. My Midas is probably already sharp 4 or sharp 5 at this point, and he just decides to log out. Now, I decided to craft a bit of diamond armor here. Normally I wouldn't do this, but because I can't eat any heads, I have to be a little bit more careful. And I have a flame bow, so it's not like people can run from me anyway if they see I'm full diamond. I was thinking of enchanting a bit, but I decided to just try to get kills to level up my Midas, and that's when I find Amosi the King again. And he just lets me get a bunch of free hits on him in the forest there, and he also doesn't have water apparently, so by using the flame I can just catch up to him and he is dead. So I get the evoker wand and now I'm feeling pretty good because I can just start aggroing a bunch of people with my flame bow and full diamond, starting with Zova over here, which spawns clones on me with this soul gauntlet. Now this other guy tries to come in and clean me, but my sword is so good that if I just get a few crits on someone, I feel pretty confident in my ability to just drop them. I get this Zova guy in a 1v1 here, and he ends up having to notch, but the other guy decides to come in and save him. And they're both targeting me. I use the evoker wand to get a little bit of space here, and eventually I do get this guy in a 1v1 where I get a bunch of crits on him. And he's on 3 HP now, so one shot should do it. I missed this first shot, which allows him to get his soul gauntlet up, but I do kill him here. And unfortunately though, both of those clones are still on me. Not too sure why they don't disappear after you kill the person. And this other guy right now, for some reason, just has the blind confidence to just full run at me, even though I'm full diamond and he's full iron. And it's actually annoying because now both him and the other guy who's just targeting me earlier are just both running at me without hitting each other at all. Now I back up a bit and I try to just get a bunch of space on them by using my flame bow to bow spam, as well as my evoker wand. And eventually this guy, I don't know what he's doing, but he just decides to pillar up here and I get him in a head web. Unfortunately, because he was just standing on the ground, he breaks it pretty quickly, but his game is now over. Move on to my next target here. I'm bowing him with flame to catch up, and he drops his villager wand to try to slow me down, but it doesn't really matter. He ends up using his water here, which I just take right away, and now he has no water, so eventually I'm going to catch up to him, and there we go. He is now dead. And I move on right to the next guy. Now, am I just leaving a ribbit reel, a soul gauntlet, and a villager wand on the ground to go ahead and chase this guy? Yeah, I am. Do I care? No. I really want this guy to die, and because of my flame, he's not going to be able to run away. I just hit a series of shots on him here, and I end up placing my water down so that I could try draining him like what I did to the other guy, but it doesn't really end up working out. Eventually though, I just hit way too many shots on him and he's forced to fight back. And I end up dropping him with a G-head, which unfortunately yet again I cannot eat, so that's pretty useless to me. On my way back to the other loot, I managed to pick up the villager wand and I killed this guy who has the ribbit reel. Now, for some reason, don't ask me why, I decided to actually loot the ribbit reel this time instead of actually chasing the other guy. And this guy does what all unskilled players on the server do when they realize they can't win on their own. He calls for a cross team on me in the chat. And he goes on to actually kill 2 more players here, which is 2 kills that I ended up wanting. So I'm starting to regret my decision to let him live earlier. Now, when I saw him last time, I saw which direction he was running, so that allows me to find him pretty easily here. He does pick up my soul gauntlet, which results in him spawning the clones, and I kind of have to just respect it a little bit and wait to fight him. Now, eventually the clones despawn and I do get my chance to fight him. And if you guys don't know how to use flame, or you don't believe that flame is just too OP, just watch what I do to this guy. Look at how I just dismantle him and tell me what you would actually do to escape this. Now I end up finding the last guy in mid here who is actually pretty stacked. Not too sure why he's building up, because there's no one else to even fight or help him out in the game other than his wolves, which I kill pretty quickly to make sure that they don't bother me during the rest of the fight. And now I just have this guy in a 1v1. And again, I'm using the flame so that he can't run away. He's just forced to fight here. I saw that he had a G-head earlier, so I'm playing a little bit more passive than I usually would. Normally I wouldn't even eat that gap, I would just continue to run in at him. And my ribbit reel is out of range there. And now I really want to kill this guy before DM starts. There's 18 seconds left. I hit the villager wand on him and he starts trying to pillar up again. But with the flame bow, I'm able to push him out of his hole. And now I have 10 seconds to hit a bunch of shots. He's on 5 HP. I get him down to 1. And I shoot him 2 more times, but unfortunately it's not enough, and he makes it to DM. Now, I get pretty upset that I'm not able to kill him before DM, so now I decide that he just has to suffer. I'm going to summon all of the clones on him, and I'm just gonna wait every time for my cooldown to recharge to make sure that he absolutely dies to these clones. And I use the flame to slow him down a little bit here, and his totem ends up getting popped by one of my clones before they end up despawning. Now, after the 3rd time of me spawning clones on him, he's pretty drained already. He tries looting a chest for gaps, and because he's so afraid of my clones, he ends up actually just dying to border. And that is the end of game number 2. Now, because I liked how the soul gauntlet turned out last game, for the next one, I'm going to be using the strategy of rushing nether to try to get the soul gauntlet and maybe even the harpoon, because I think the combination of those 2 legendaries will be really good. And I loot up this chest really fast because there is another guy contesting me for this temple. Now I ended up getting really lucky here. I got 6 diamonds, a lot of iron, and a notch. So with all of those diamonds, I have enough to make midas sword, soul gauntlet, and harpoon if I get all the stuff in nether. Now I end up finding this crimson tower structure at the very corner, and because it's sort of on an island here, I kind of debate whether or not I should actually go into it or not, but I end up going. And because I got a lot of bones from those 2 structures that I looted earlier, I actually have enough to make skeleton pants, which is really good because that means that I cannot be attacked by any of the mobs in the structure. Now, it's a good decision to come here because I ended up getting a lodestone, which is one of the main ingredients for the soul gauntlet. And there we go. And after getting a bit of nether gold, all I needed was an apple from the overworld to make my midas sword, and there we go. We have that as well. Now, unfortunately, someone in chat ended up crafting the harpoon launcher. I definitely could have crafted that myself if I went trapper kit, but I'm an idiot and I chose the wrong kit, so I just lose out on harpoon launcher. Now, as soon as he turns on, I find this guy with a dyed leather chestplate, which does not do very well for him, and that ends up just being a free midas level for me. Yeah, and remember at the beginning of the game where I just got enchanted books from that first temple and I didn't even look at them? Yeah, one of those turned out to be flame yet again, so now all 3 games in this series I have flame. I see this fight going on in this temple over here, and I go to clean this pretty pink titan person who just kind of ends up choking here and letting me get a bunch of free hits and a free midas level. And that's when the other person comes in and decides to clean. Now, I think this might have been a 1x1 hole trap here, I'm not too sure, but anyway, I end up just killing this guy as well because he only has an enchanted sword and I have like a sharp 3 midas. And now I find the guy with a riptide and harpoon launcher. He does get a combo on me here because I was jumping around, so I have to end up using my soul gauntlet. After backing up once to heal, I decide to go back in on him, and I should be able to just out damage him, but he has 2 G heads and I have none, so I'm gonna have to play this fight kind of defensively if I don't want to just die. And he gets me pretty low, but I'm able to use the flame to just bow spam him off of the riptide. And I just need to back up and heal a little bit more because if I'm able to do so, I'm pretty sure I could just drop this guy. So after I eat this gap, I'm pretty sure I could just exchange hits with him here and end up killing him. And that is exactly what ends up happening. And he also does not seem to be very happy about that in the chat. But now that I have the harpoon that I want, I can just start aggroing the rest of these people to level up my midas. I start with this guy over here, but we do end up getting cleaned, so I have to disengage a bit because I don't really want to get cleaned when I have 0 heads. And this guy also has quite a bit of armor, and he's not that bad, so he's not really the type of person that I want to fight right now. I do end up using the soul gauntlet just so that he sort of had to respect it and not full push me. And at this point, that fight did kind of drain me a bit, and because this guy probably has G heads right now, that's not really the person who I want to fight. I'd rather start just by killing this guy right here and getting my midas level up. Unfortunately, he doesn't drop with any gaps either, so now I'm pretty low on healing. I'm trying to just find a fight where I won't get drained, and I end up baiting this guy into this temple with me, and he has nowhere to go, so I end up just getting a pretty easy kill on him when I summon the clones on him. And he doesn't do a lot of damage to me, and he drops with gaps. Now I end up bow fighting this guy again here, and he does do pretty well, and eventually he just starts trying to rush me, which I'm not a huge fan of because I don't have any heads. So I just try to use the soul gauntlet so that I can get a heal off with gaps. Now here I tried to use the riptide, but because I accidentally had the soul gauntlet in my main hand, kind of just canceled the riptide out, so I just decided to leave him alone and try to find other people first. And I do find this guy, which is just another free upgrade on my midas sword, because he's not going to be able to get away from me with my flame. And that's when this other guy decides to come back in. I honestly respect him aggroing me with less gear, and I was playing pretty defensive against this guy. So I would be pretty mad if I was him. And he ends up getting hit into lava here and just like messed up by a bunch of my clones, which forces him to sort of pop a G head. So now at this point, I'm pretty like confident in my ability to fight him one-on-one. But not before I try to kill this guy, who unfortunately ends up to be trapping. So it's not a free midas level like I thought it was going to be. And instead, I just end up going back to fighting the guy who I was fighting earlier. Now, if I had any sort of heads, I would have been fighting this guy way more aggro than how I was playing this fight. But now is finally my chance to sort of play more aggro on him because I get him pretty low here, and I end up dropping him with quite a bit of healing with my bow. So I head back over to the trap, and I guess my goal was to try to get my clones to drop down on him and just mess him up in his hole. But what ended up happening was that a bunch of my clones just ended up straight up jumping into the trap and dying. And the ones that tried going down the hole just were not able to do so. So I find the trapper trying to kill a corpse, but he runs away as soon as I see him, and this guy drops with 3 G heads, and he's also the guy who had scythe, so I guess I have a free scythe now. Now I see this other guy who is full diamond, and I want to fight him so I don't have to fight him later, but he has other plans. Instead of fighting me, he just decides that he would rather jump headfirst into the trap. I tried using my soul gauntlet to summon a bunch of clones now that I'm actually going down the ladder, but again, they're not able to come in here, and about all of them end up getting trapped. And that ends up being the same fate that this don't sneak guy suffers, because he also just decides to feed the trapper full diamond. Now I just end up digging down on him here because I'm pretty sure he's not going to have a backup trap at Y0. And my goal here is to try to get my soul gauntlet to summon clones on him in a 1x1 strip mine, because I think it would be pretty funny. Now, unfortunately, as badly as I want to do that, this guy is just determined to sit in a 1x1 and try to get crits on me. I end up trying to dig the block above his head so that he's kind of forced out, but that doesn't really work out, and eventually he just gets out of the trap. I end up fighting him sort of in this part of his trap, and unfortunately my soul gauntlet is on cooldown and it's not going to recharge before DM, and this guy really wants to trap me, and I'm just not falling for that. There is no way that I'm just going to fall into that trap, and this guy really just tries forcing me in there until the very end. In DM, I basically know that I've already won the game, so I just try fighting whoever, and this guy ends up being pretty annoying, so I try to just Riptide away, and that is when I get hit by both blindness and this guy's guardian cannon. So yeah, that's not very fun for me. So eventually I'm able to get one of them on his own, and he just gets stuck in a block because of my flame, and that is the guardian cannon guy down. And once my harpoon recharges, I just go straight up to the guy with the phantom longbow, and I find a pretty cool way to end up killing him. And this last guy would also just end up suffering the same fate. So there it is, 3 games, and I've answered the question, yes, I can win without eating any player heads. Now, I would be lying if I said this was easy. This was pretty difficult, and I ended up dying way too many times trying to record this. Anyway, let me know if you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you again soon.